Mark Williams, 11 seasons as head coach of the Power. Started with West Adelaide, played 64 games there under his dad Foss, then on to the Port Adelaide Magpies, where he played 115 games and was one of the big name players of the SANFL. In 1981 he was recruited to Collingwood. He won 2 club best and fairest in 81 and 85. He captained Collingwood from 83 to 86. He played 135 games with them and was also Collingwood's leading goal kicker in 1984. In 1987 he joined the Brisbane Bears, where he became vice captain. He played 4 seasons with the Bears, 66 games with them, giving him a total of 201 VFL AFL games. In 91 and 92 he came back and played with the Port Adelaide Magpies, finished his playing career with 4 SANFL premierships in 79, 80, 90 and 92. He was an All-Australian in 1980. He represented South Australia on 8 occasions, Victoria once, and then into coaching. 93-94 he coached the Glenelg Footy Club. In 95 he went to Essendon as an assistant coach under the great Kevin Sheedy. In 97 back to Alberton to the Power, where he was an assistant coach. In 1999 he became the head coach of the Power and set an unprecedented success in the AFL. In 2002-2003 the club finished the season on top at the end of the minor round. In 2004 they were top of the ladder again at the end of the minor round, and of course went on to win the club's first premiership. 2007 he coached in another grand final. In 2001 they had 16 wins. 2002 18 wins. 2003 they had 18 wins. 2004 17 wins, an unbelievable record of 16 or more wins in a row in 4 consecutive seasons. No other club has done that in the AFL since 1990. Mark Williams was a champion player. He was a champion coach. No question he was a great warrior. When you're a warrior, you can deal with the things that happen in front of you. When you go into battle, you have a plan and you'll always succeed. When things start coming from the side and then they start coming from behind, that's when the great warrior gets worn down. That's what's happened to Mark Williams. Well, what do you think? That's the first time I've done that. 2 years, KG, we've been here. First time I've tried to put something together.
Now, that's the interview now. We're gone. We're stuck for time. Yeah, we're gone.
What do you think? How'd it go? Did I get everything right? Because your attention to detail?
Yeah, I think West Adelaide might have played one more game. But
No,
And you know what? He'd be right. Choco would be right.
I don't want to argue with you, mate. It has been an emotional 4 days for you. I mean, can you believe Spain beat the Netherlands?
Yeah, I was up watching it live this morning. All the 3 boys got up with me, and we followed the soccer a little bit. So we actually like both of the sides. I was interested listening to people describe the Netherlands, and they probably don't have exactly the skills of the Spanish, but they played a style that gave them a chance to win. They had a couple of chances one-on-one with the goalie and missed them. And, Robin was probably the best player on the ground, certainly into half-time. I thought Fabregas coming on really opened them up, and in the end it was a great result. I would have hated the thought that they had to go to penalty shoot-off. I think that's a ridiculous way of finishing a World Cup.
Choco, before the tournament, who'd you pick to win it?
I was actually hoping that the Dutch would do well, and because of the English, and we watch the Premier League all the time. I was hoping that they might go a little bit better. I couldn't believe how bad a lot of them played. Like Torres, he's injured, but he hardly fired a shot. I thought Rooney was really ordinary.
Yeah.
Fabregas, who's just a great player for Arsenal, he hardly got on the field. So it was amazing the standard. But it was great to see other players. Snyder, I thought, was terrific. Seeing people from other countries that you don't get to see very often. It was great to see, but in the end, it just doesn't compare with Australian rules.
All right. Now, saying all that, your fascination with soccer, you've been a soccer fan for a long time. Why soccer? Are there things that you've taken from that game?
Yeah, look, I think there's a lot of soccer elements in the AFL. I think our game is young compared to soccer, and they've been developing. They were man-on-man type defence there for a long time, but now they're zonal defence, and now they press right high up the ground, which if you listen to them, that's what they're talking about. And St Kilda do that without doubt. That they get the ball in their forward line and they press all their 18 players in front of the centre to keep the ball up there. And we've been trying to do that. We've got some success at it, but the fact is you need to practice a lot and you have your best players out there.
All right, Thursday you meet with Brett Duncanson and you have a chat with him. When you're walking from Brett's home to your car and the drive home, what was going through your mind?
Look, it was a little, first time since I was 17. Probably I had the realisation I was going to be out of footy. So that was a big thing. And then the emotion was, to make sure that how was I going to tell the kids, then what impact this would have on our players. I said to Brett, I would have thought that announcing it on Monday after the game and not telling anyone was probably the best thing. But Brett and the club wanted to do it and thought it might be nice for me in regard to getting some sort of send-off game. But I really didn't want it. I wanted to make sure that the preparation for the players was the best. But the players went out and played really well. And unfortunately, I think Collingwood kicked really straight, and we didn't quite get the result that we wanted to. But they, we were in the game for most of the game, which was good against the top side.
Choco, who instigated that meeting between you and Brett?
Oh, look, Brett and I have meetings all the time, so he
it wasn't out of the ordinary.
No. Brett just said, let's catch up again. That was all.
Well, then, when you had the meeting, who brought up the subject of your future at that meeting?
Oh, we both, were just discussing. Obviously we lost 7 games in a row at that stage, and that certainly hasn't happened very often. So we're getting mauled in the press, all the time, back pages here and there. So we're discussing what the best thing for Port was.
I went through the list of players after you went 5-2, and then Treadray went down, and then after that, maybe of your top 22 players. I'm not an expert on who you'd pick and who you wouldn't, but there's somewhere between 6 and 8 of your best 22 players have been missing since that time. So when you sit down and you say, we're going through a bad run, I mean, Brisbane are suffering a similar fate right now. Does that come into the equation? I mean, I know you see it coming from a coaching background. The coach understands that, but it's hard to get that message out.
You can get the message out, but no one cares, really. The fact is all people want to know is if you win or not. And that's footy, so you just cop it. But all I can say is the coaching staff, which are fantastic people, and I'm really wrapped that Matty's got the opportunity to take it forward. But, we're working with all the young players religiously, whether we'd won or lost. It wasn't about this minute or this week or next week. It was about the future of the club. And, they'll continue down that path, and, players will pick up and we'll get some good results in the near future.
Was it a mutual agreement, or was Mark Williams pushed?
No. It was a mutual agreement. No worries at all.
Friday, you've got to...
Hang on. Are you convinced?
Yes, I am.
I must
You're convinced it's a mutual agreement?
I'm not. But
no.
then I say
sorry.
it with due respects to Mark. I'm not saying Mark's telling me a lie, but
No.
I'm not convinced it was, no. And I never will be. I respect what you're saying, mate.
Friday, you've got to walk in and you've got to tell the people that you've spent a long time with. Now, Brooke, your personal assistant, she's been with you from day one. I mean, it's different when you sit in front of players and you've got to tell them different things. There's some of the staff that you're really close. How did you approach that?
Yeah, look, I had to tell Peter and Peter Road and Brooke. Obviously, those two I work mostly close with, and that was difficult. Peter didn't know about it. The players didn't know anything about it. They weren't polled or anything by the board and all those sort of people. So it became a real shock to those. And then meeting and talking to the players was the hardest thing. For years, I'd help retire, if you like, great champions like Matty or Gavin or the people that had spent time and effort at the club. It always means a lot to them. And even talking about those guys, it was always difficult because you'd bring back vivid memories of the tough stuff they'd done through their time at the club and what they'd brought to the club and how much they meant to the people and the relationships they'd built. So when it comes to talking myself, I was basically, the players were all out there in the seated area, and I'm kind of facing the whiteboard, talking to the whiteboard because there was no way I could face them and hold it all together. It was pretty precise and pretty. This is a matter of fact. This is what's happening, and then get out of there. And then had to just try and get yourself together for the press conference, which is immediately afterwards. Which in the end it wasn't too bad because I could have been a lot worse than I was.